TLO, what's poppin'? We are on Twitch. We're not live, but you can leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notification bells. Let's continue to grow the family from Chicago to the UK. Right behind me, we got warning. Don't need it, but I just like doing my intro on a different screen than the main screen. Twitch.com is where you can catch a live stream. Usernames at the bottom of the screen. And we also got Patreon. That is in the description, man. We post Premier League highlights, UK TV show reactions, and movies. This is Girl Gone London. Get all my little London info from her as an American. It's an American to American vibe. 7 American habits that are rude in the UK. Okay. A lot of people be thinking I'm rude in general when they watch me from the UK, and I don't know what they're talking about. So maybe this will explain it.
Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. No copyright infringement intended. All rights belong to their respective owners.
Go ahead. Talk to me, ma'am.
Welcome back to the Girl Gone London channel. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin. I'm an American who's lived in the UK for over 10 years.
Caitlin. Okay, that's your name. I didn't know.
And today we're talking about 7 American habits that are considered rude in the UK. I have accumulated many of these examples personally, as well as stories I've heard from fellow American expats who live in the UK and are usually trying to do their best, but are sometimes accidentally being rude or just weird. Now, the first thing on my list of an American thing to do that would be considered rude or not acceptable or just strange in the UK is giving a guest a house tour. So in the States, it's not considered weird.
That's weird to y'all? So what, just y'all, so if I get a crib in the UK and somebody from the UK comes over and I'm an American, so what I'm supposed to do? Yeah, here's the living room. Go ahead, sit down. Do you want some tea? You want some beans? Toast? And just leave you there? Like, the house tour seems essential.
Americans love giving a house tour. A visitor comes over to your house and
I'm trying to cap, Caitlin. I'm trying to cap. I want you to see what I got. Let me cap.
Want to show them around your house. And I know that the British people in the audience are initially going to think, well, it's because Americans want to show off their house.
Yeah, I'm trying to cap. Some of us do.
And we don't do that here. We don't brag about things like Americans do. And in some ways, that could be true. You could be proud of your house or things that you've done to it, and maybe you do want to show it to somebody for some appreciation. However, there is also another element to this to consider. Now, what I've come across in the UK is that your house is considered a very personal space for the people who live there. And of course, you can have visitors over, and people do have visitors over at times, but it seems to be that British people love meeting out and about. So typically, a British home is going to be smaller than an American home in many instances. So practically, it doesn't always make sense to.
So I can't show you my stuff because I gotta worry about you not having the same stuff as me, or your house not being as large as mine, or like that. So that's the mind frame I'm going off. I'm not doing that. If you come to my crib, then that means I rock with you. I mess with you. You got to see the whole house. You're going to get this tour.
Have people in your space, but equally in the UK, we have pub culture and restaurants that allow you to sit and enjoy your meal for more than like 20 minutes. So in the UK, meeting friends and meeting people out is much more done than in the US. In the US, we do enjoy our home as a place to have people over for longer periods of time. And so this reflects back on why Americans love giving a house tour, because in some ways, we are trying to make our guests feel at home, and I'm not in any way saying that we're showing them our underwear drawer, but you might show them around and take them around your house in kind of a welcoming kind of way. This isn't done in the UK, so if you have people over, they stick to the rooms that they're allowed in. Most of the house, you like practically board up when someone's coming over, and that's where the visitor is supposed to be. And again, I'm not saying Americans like have guests to their home.
I'm saying though, like, I'm gonna give you the house tour, and then at the end, I'm gonna be like, all right, but yeah, this the living room. This will be. Then there's the bathroom. You just as a normal human being, you should know, like, all right, I'm gonna give you the house tour because like, look, you know what I'm saying? Look what I got. That don't mean you can walk through this mug and do your thing.
Just
freely.
Wandering every inch of your space. But when they would come to the door, you would welcome them in. And if they haven't been to your home before, you would usually give them some type of tour. Now, the tour of my house in the UK would be over in about 30 seconds because, as I said, typically homes in the UK are smaller than in the US. But again, this would be considered weird or rude in the UK because it would mostly be seen as you're trying to show off your home.
That is what I'm trying to do. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's what I'm trying to do, me personally. But I don't take it as I'm taking anything away from your home. Just don't invite me to your home if that's how you feel. Like, you know what I'm saying? But if I come to the UK, I want the house tour. Do not give me a house tour. I understand that y'all find it rude or y'all keep confining people. Give me the house tour. I know to stay in the room that we in, though.
And that's something that is not done. Now, the next thing on my list actually has to do with American servers within a restaurant and the behavior that would be considered rude, which is not only constantly checking in on you and kind of, in some ways, probably to a British person, bothering you during your meal, but in the US, servers, just as a general rule, this isn't just one person or considered rude or anything, they will give you your check or your bill for the meal basically as soon as they've delivered the food. If not that, like a couple minutes after. That would be considered extremely weird and extremely rude in the UK.
See. That's the cultural difference. Y'all have pub life. Y'all like to kick it and do this and have conversations. Give me my bill as soon as I get the food, because when I'm done, I want to leave expeditiously.
As if your server is trying to get rid of you. But the thing is, in America, they kind of are, because they rely on tips, which is an entirely different video, and so much of their wage comes from being able to turn over tables quickly. And this would never fly in the UK. The restaurant experience is totally different. And so if a British family does go to the US, that's something to remember, that the American waiter or waitress is not within the context of American culture being rude by giving you your bill for the meal really soon after they serve you your food. Another American habit that is considered rude in the UK has to do with eating as well, and that is to do with what you do with your knife and fork after you finish.
Oh my God, y'all should see the comments on my TikTok. Keep in mind I got 90,000 over there almost, and every video almost be busting. And that's just me telling y'all. I'm not giving y'all the TikTok house tour. I'm just saying. Y'all can't stand how I eat. I'm trying to tell y'all, before I started eating all this UK stuff, I never knew how to use a knife and fork. I use a spoon to cut. I use a spoon for everything. Cause it's the ultimate utensil. It has a kind of like a sharp edge. It can get the job done. I'm trying to scoop. I'm trying to be done. You know what I'm saying? Dang, I got a cut on my hand.
Finish a meal. So in the UK, the polite thing and general thing you're supposed to do, and people just seem to do as a matter of like not even thinking about it, is you put your utensils together on your plate and it looks something like this. And this is not really done in the US. So there is no official signal for I have finished my food or I am done with my meal, and you kind of just leave.
I was today years old. What? When my plate is empty, I am done. Or my napkin is on my plate, I'm done.
Leave your utensils wherever you want to leave them. They could be on the plate, they could be off the plate, they could be making a cross, they could be like just stacked in any weird old way. You basically just throw your utensils down and that means you're done. That is considered rude in the UK in the sense that it's...
So I gotta put my utensils...
just the polite thing to do to finish your meal by putting your utensils together on the plate, which is something that I have gotten better at remembering to do, but I still have to sometimes remember to do it naturally. And I see other people around me in the UK just doing this naturally, and I have to remember to gather all of my utensils and put them in this line on the plate to show that I'm done. The next thing on my list.
I don't want to be offensive, but that's stupid. Like, I just feel like when the plate is empty or my napkin is on the plate, I'm done.
List is Americans being loud. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that we're not loud. We are loud. Honestly, I was considered a quiet person in the US. I spent my entire life in the US with people asking me to speak up and to talk louder because they couldn't hear me. I moved to the UK, and within a couple days, people are telling me to be quiet. Americans just speak.
Really? Somebody said I'm loud and obnoxious on a video before. I didn't think so. Like, if y'all meet my friends, they're a lot louder than me.
Speak loudly. We just are loud, and it's a trait that is considered relatively rude in the UK because it's infringing on other people's right to enjoy the environment surrounding them. And this is particularly prevalent with Americans on like public transportation in the UK. So if you take the
I don't talk on the phone. I don't on public transportation, I'm different. Like, don't talk to me. I don't want to hear your conversation. Like, shh.
Tube in London or a train,
I feel
you can usually hear the Americans before you can see them. It's just, we're not trying to be rude. We just culturally are loud. And another thing
That's a fact, though. But if I'm with some other people, yeah, I have a conversation. But like, if I'm by myself, I'm not getting on the phone. I don't want to talk on the phone and have a conversation on the train or anything.
Remember, the next time you hear a loud American in the UK, is that within the country that we're from, because everybody is loud, you have to speak louder and louder and louder to be heard over the other people. So it doesn't come across as being loud in the US because everybody's being loud. Yeah. Whereas here in the UK, definitely people are a bit more reserved and a bit more quiet, and suddenly I become the loudest person in the room. The next American habit that's considered rude in the UK, and this is definitely a little bit of a cringy one, is not saying please or thank you or please can you do this, not having those like niceties attached to what you're saying. And this is definitely one of those things I notice when I'm in the US.
Really? Now this, I wouldn't even have thought of this. I say thank you when people do. I say thank you. I don't really say please though.
An example would be if you are in a store and asking where something is. In the UK, you would go up to a person and you would say, "Oh, sorry, can you please tell me where the..."
No, because I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. So what I'm going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, can I..." No, I'm not doing that. If I'm at the grocery store and you got that ASDA badge on with your name under it, this is your job. I am not sorry that I'm asking you this question. You filled out an application, you went through an interview process, and you are accustomed, you are expected to be asked where things are. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just not saying, I'm not starting with sorry. I start with excuse me. That's what I start. Excuse me. Yes, how may I help you? Do you know where blah, blah, blah is? Oh, yeah. This is where it's at. Then I end with thank you. I'm not starting off with sorry, because I'm not sorry.
Flower is, or you would just have all these different words to say excuse me.
Yeah, I say excuse me.
Please, can you help me? Or something like that. In the US, a lot of people, and this does depend on region a little bit, but a lot of people would just go up to the person in the store and they wouldn't have any of these other words. They would just say, "Where's the flower?" And
I do that sometimes too, though. Like if they're like doing something, like stocking a shelf or something, like they're not looking directly at me, cool, I say excuse me. But if I'm walking towards them and they see me walking towards them and we make eye contact, they normally be like, yes. Like, what?
They might say it in a way that to us in the States is still a nice way of saying it. I'm not saying that they're going to be demanding. We could still say it nicely, but we wouldn't include the other words like, excuse me, please, can you help me? Can you do this? We would just kind of go in directly with our question. And in some ways, this may have to do with the American style of direct communication that I talked about in a previous video, but overall, it is just sort of bad manners in the UK and in most countries, so I'm not siding with the Americans on this one, but bad manners to not be saying please, not be saying thank you, and things like that. And the next thing on...
I barely say please, too. Like, but if I'm asking somebody directly to do something for me, yes, I will say please.
My list that Americans do that can be considered weird in the UK is talking very openly about religion and asking people questions about their religion. And
that's weird. That is weird to me. I don't even like to discuss religion or politics, huh? Because like then we're gonna be arguing, and I don't feel like arguing. Cause I take stuff like lower your tone. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of energy that I be having.
And what I mean by this is, in the UK, religion is seen as a personal thing. So you might go to church, you might not, you might go to another religious venue, you might not, but you're not going to expect people that you don't know to ask you about it. In the US, this is a little different. As a country, America is much more religious than the UK, and it is seen as more appropriate to ask a stranger maybe where they go to church, because the assumption is that a lot of people do, especially in certain parts of the US, or you might ask them what religion they are. And again, there's going to be differing experiences of this.
See, the thing about me is I got like, it's like business. I mind my own.
Depending on where you live in America and your age and, you know, your social group and things like that. But as a general rule, it's more acceptable in the US to speak about and to ask strangers or acquaintances about religion. In the UK,
you could ask me. I'm probably going to be like that. None of your business. Don't even worry about it. Or I might reply with why.
This is definitely considered rude and not acceptable because religion is viewed as a much more intensely personal and private thing. And the final thing on my list has to do with queuing. Of course it does. The American habit that is considered rude in the UK is essentially pushing to the front of things or taking things before you wait your turn or you ask. In the UK, the art of queuing is well known. People are very good at it.
I respect a good line. I ain't even gonna lie to you. When people cut the line in front of me, especially in front of me, like if I could be the 17th person in line, if I see you jump 5 spots in front of me, I'm offended for me and the other 4 people in front of me, and I gotta speak on it. Yo, you don't see this line? Go ahead, brother. Oh, this is my wife, not today. Go to the back. Meet her in the car.
People are good at lining up, waiting for things, waiting your turn. The British way is sort of just being like, no, you go first. No, you go first. Or just really having a sense of order when it comes to who gets what next. In America, it is kind of everyone for yourself. We are very bad at lining up. I don't know if you've seen the scene in an iconic American Christmas film called Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger of all people. But there is a scene...
Oh yeah, for this type stuff? Like if the store's just opening though, and then you gotta run in and get what you get, okay. But yeah, we capitalists. It's all you. Good luck. I don't care if you're 10. Good luck. My stiff arm is serious. Aha! Watch out. You feel me?
When they get a toy into the toy shop that all the parents want, and they essentially trample each other to get to it. This has happened in the US. This is something...
Is my kid happy or not?
that I watch and I'm like, yes, this makes sense for America. This is kind of how we operate. And we can even take it from the funny, silly, like physical example of, you know, not being able to line up or like rushing into a toy shop or something like that. But it also tends to extend to other areas as well. So as an example, there was one time when I was on a plane traveling with a British person and the plane had empty seats in the same like economy section that we booked, so it wasn't like first class empty seats, but there were empty seats, and there were seats that I would have preferred to sit in more than the one that I had, but there weren't that many empty seats. So my American self was like, we're just gonna move. We're just gonna move. We're not gonna ask. We're just gonna go and move to these other seats that are empty. And this has always worked for me. This is just the American
No, for real, yeah. That's normal.
way. I see something that's open. I'm like, okay, nobody else is using this, and it's in the same class that I've booked, so I'm just gonna go and sit there. I'm gonna take it. The British person that I was with was like, we can't just move. We have to ask. And I'm like, you don't have to ask. You just do it, and then it happens. But the British way can be seen as much more polite and less rude, to not just go and assume
It's more time consuming.
you can do things, but to ask, to again wait your turn. Is it okay if I go and sit in that other seat? Where the American
I'd rather move and then they tell me like, oh, somebody you can't, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, my bad.
me was just like, no one else is doing it, so I'm gonna go and do it. Or if you're in a grocery store or something similar, maybe you come up to an item that is running out and you get to it at the same time as another person. In the UK, it's often
I'm opening the door and taking it. Unless it's a woman, then you can have it. But if it's a male, brother, watch out. Survival of the fittest.
the polite thing to say, oh no, go ahead, you have it, you take it. An American is like, no, I got here 0.3 seconds before you, I'm taking this, have a nice day.
I touched the door first.
I'm not saying it's the best trait to have. I'm just saying that is what Americans are kind of conditioned to be like. You can call it entitled, or you can call it bold, whatever you want
It's survival of the fittest.
to see it as. That is definitely an American habit that is not considered acceptable and is considered rude in the UK. Now that brings me to the end of this list. I hope you learned something new.
Well, Katie, you did. You taught me a lot of things. I'm preparing for my trip in 2025. And hey, it is what it is at this point. I'm gonna hit that like button. I'm gonna leave a comment. What should I say? That's tough. That's tough. It's tough, I guess. This whole list was tough.